Thank you for the introduction. I'm so pleased to be here talking to you today about the amazing future for aged care. In fact, I'm not really here to talk about aged care. I'm here to talk to you about the living and wellbeing experience of people of all ages. Why segregate people by age or ability? As introduced, I'm Kate McGuigan, a senior consultant at Rohling International. So you can be called a senior at any age. Before I launch off into the incredible living and wellbeing experience, I want to quickly tackle where we are right now and some of the challenges. I'll then give you some insight into the possibilities of a system without silos and without age restrictions. This blue sky thinking is all well and good, but what does that mean for you as providers? We will look at the engine room of processes and technology that support the emerging blue sky world. I won't spend long discussing the current state of the aged care sector, as no doubt you already know it, and this has been talked about considerably throughout the conference. I did want to highlight a few key challenges and why it is important that we look to the future to what could be an amazing living and wellbeing experience for all. Currently, aged care is defined by a number, 65. That is the age someone can start to access aged care services regardless of their health and well-being. Australian residential aged care is on the cusp of funding reform with the research on the Australian National Aged Care Classification and suggestions from government changes on the way. The Royal Commission into Aged Care Quality and Safety is in progress. While we have all been shocked and saddened by some of the experiences people have shared, there is also hope for systemic reform and the possibility of consistent quality care for people. 2020 has not been our year. COVID-19 has left a destructive path in its place. People living in residential aged care are some of the most impacted by COVID-19, and we're yet to see the full results. As people have spent long periods of time isolated from their family and friends and not able to participate in their usual activities. COVID-19 has identified the real silos between the health and aged care systems, which has meant people affected have not received the care they required despite best efforts. We have other sectors siloed from aged care, including disability and mental health sectors. It won't be news to you that we have an ageing population. It is estimated that by 2024, the number of people aged over 85 will be more than 1 million. Currently, 50% of residential aged care are people aged over 85. We will see this number grow as more and more people want to spend longer at home. These are real challenges happening right now, and they are not easy to solve. Looking at the current challenges can seem focused on the doom and gloom, but I want to introduce you to two people I have come across recently in the media who embody the living and wellbeing experience, despite the current challenges, and don't see themselves as ageing. This is Eileen Kramer, aged 105 and a half. She's a dancer, choreographer, and writer. She's actively pursuing her career in these areas while living in residential aged care. In Eileen's submission to the Royal Commission, she talked about her experiences in life, particularly since she returned to Australia at the age of 99. These include submitting a self-portrait for the Archibald in 2019 and employing staff when she lived at home with a dancing background to support her around the house and also in her interests and career. Eileen is a firm believer that aged care should not be called aged care. Her suggestions are go care, and cool care. Eileen Kramer is not looking for aged care. She's looking for a provider who can support her to continue to live her life in a fulfilling and satisfying way as she has done so for 105 years. This is Richard Spark. He's an 82-year-old mechanic. Despite being reported as dead in 1984 following a car accident in a local newspaper, his claim to fame. He also owns and operates a local mechanic workshop in rural Western Australia, working and fixing tractors, trucks, or anything that is needed. He has no dream of retiring and wants to continue working in his workshop for the rest of his life. Richard is not looking for aged care. He's looking to continue living his life in the way he sees as fulfilling. I want you to take a moment and think about the most fulfilling thing in your life. It might be your family, pet, hobby, or career. Now think about people you know in aged care. Is the aged care they are accessing supporting them to ensure the most fulfilling part of their life is achieved? How would you feel if you couldn't pursue the most fulfilling part of your life right now? Now, we don't expect that everyone wants to keep working until they are 105, but we know people of all ages and abilities want to live fulfilling lives, where the fulfillment is determined by the individual. The future living and wellbeing experience will be open to all people. It will not discriminate on age or ability. It will be truly person-centred, as the person will define their needs, not the government or providers. There will be no silos between systems, aged care, healthcare, mental health and disability sectors, working as one in the new living and wellbeing model. Private, non-profit and government organisations working collectively in the living and wellbeing ecosystem. We're going to take a look at a usual day in this living and wellbeing future. This is Ian. Ian wakes up at 5:30 a.m. after a good night's sleep and feeling refreshed. Ian's GP recently diagnosed sleep apnea. Having the AI analysis of Ian's sleep monitoring data, he was able to diagnose this early. Ian chose to share monitoring from his mattress and pillow. Out for his daily walk, he's reached 10,000 steps. Up go the Living and Wellbeing rewards points. Ian's private living and wellbeing insurance provider rewards him for his healthy lifestyle. Ian is looking to use his points on a holiday in Europe next year. He is awaiting the results of which airline has successfully bid for his fares. The news for the day. Here comes Trevor. Trevor is Ian's digital twin. Trevor provides Ian his daily synopsis from current affairs to sport, theatre and the great outdoors. Trevor has been with Ian for a while now and understands what perks his interest and what is a waste of his time and eyesight. It's a great mix across text, video, music and immersive reality. Ian heads off for a morning coffee with his friend Sharanthi. As Ian gets close to his favourite barista, Trevor asks if he wants the usual order. Ian says yes, but you better order one for Sharanthi too. When Ian arrives, he finds Sharanthi in what appears to be meditation. He grins, remembering this is Sharanthi's position for her cardio diagnostic. Sharanthi has had some cardio challenges in her living and wellbeing journey. She now sports a pacemaker and defibrillator that through 7G and AI, her cardio is able to be continuously monitored. Looks like some proactive tuning happening now. Ian heads back home. The day is still young. At 81 years of living and wellbeing, Ian remains a valued asset to Rohling National. Rohling National is a service provider participating in the living and wellbeing marketplace. With a generational diverse team spanning 60 plus years of living and wellbeing, they provide a fantastic customer journey and experience for the services they deliver. Ian is the voice of reason and has instilled the virtues of personalised customer journey and experience across the team. Ian joins his wife Sandra for lunch. Sandra is similarly flat out in her living and wellbeing journey. Recently, she was fortunate, having been regularly using the Cancer Council's skin recognition app. The AI analysis behind this app had identified changes and diagnosed early melanoma. Sandra was alerted to this by Ava, Sandra's digital assistant, who had been contacted by her GP with appointment options over the next week. Over lunch, Trevor lets Ian know that Woolies won the bid on providing his supplemental electricity for the next 6 months. Ian installed solar and batteries some time back, however he still needs a supplemental backup. Ian is actually a provider himself in this new living and wellbeing paradigm. The excess electricity his solar panels generate is pushed into his neighbourhood co-op grid. Later that afternoon, Ian joins Dr. Robot, or Rob as we call him, for his monthly living and wellbeing consult. After ensuring there is nothing of significant ill toward, Ian's GP allows Dr. Rob to conduct the monthly consult. Dr. Rob seems to have developed the same quirky behaviours of Trevor. All of Ian's data points across his living and wellbeing monthly journey are continuously collected and analysed through the Living and Wellbeing Analytics engine. The social, mental, physical aspects all incorporated. Dr. Rob highlights some increased visits to the bathroom of a night, something to investigate early. The movement sensing flooring has similarly provided a source of awareness and security for Ian's daughter, especially when her children visit. With work completed and all the appointments out of the way, Ian heads to his local gym, which happens to also be run by a living and wellbeing provider that also provides in-home services, what used to be called aged care. Today's class is being delivered by the hologram of the fitness instructor as they are travelling interstate. While Ian is working out, data is collected about his workout and his body's response and will be included as part of next month's checkup with Dr. Rob. Trevor lets Ian know that his daughter Samantha has arrived at home and his grandson Archie ready for dinner. Ian enjoys dinner with his family before settling down for a good night's sleep, ready for the weekend. Some of you might be thinking, what does this all mean? We know Australians are more connected than ever before and they are already sharing their data and information. In 2017, 42% of Australian households are using the internet for health services. This is double compared to 2015, and we will see a bigger rise in 2020 with COVID-19 and the need for services to become digital. I know of aged care services operating online exercise classes and engaging people through social media during these tough times. Australia's digital age is here and it will continue. We have had a bit of fun in putting together Ian's Living and Wellbeing Day, but this future isn't too far off. We have fantastic engineers and scientists that are developing new technologies every day. Some of these new technologies can monitor people's health, and we also have seen social robots. No doubt you have seen some of these technologies here at LASA. The difference between Ian's world and ours is that Ian's living and wellbeing providers have been set up to receive the information Ian chooses to share and has been able to analyse and interpret the data in a meaningful way. In Ian's case, it has meant early diagnosis of conditions and risks identified, but could it mean a different way for current aged care providers to interact with their customers and anticipate their needs? What would Australia need in order to set this up? Could there be a Department of Living and Wellbeing in Australia? Will there be a Living and Wellbeing funding instrument that provides funding for each Australian to purchase services for their living and wellbeing needs? Regardless of whether the Australian government and funding is moving in this direction, there are providers and other governments acting in this space or getting ready to meet the needs of people regardless of their age or ability. We joke about New Zealand being the poor cousins to Australia, but did you know that they are already ahead in this space? In 2019, New Zealand created a wellbeing budget. The government identified that economic growth, while positive, does not guarantee improvements in living standards. They identified 5 priority areas to be covered in the wellbeing budget: taking mental health seriously, improving child wellbeing, supporting Maori and Pacifica aspirations, building a productive nation, and transforming the economy. While this budget tackles 5 priority areas, what sits under these are the industries we know: aged care, mental health, hospitals and health, youth services, housing, domestic violence, family services, employment services, climate change, innovation, industry, plus many more. All services and industries sitting under one wellbeing budget. New Zealand is not so different from Australia, and yet they are ahead of the game in delivering on improvement of the living and wellbeing of their citizens. While our government may not be there, we are seeing providers in Australia emerge without boundaries. We have seen new online agencies provide options for people to select workers who will provide care. This is how Eileen Kramer found her workers interested in dancing. What new providers will emerge in the next few years who stretch these boundaries further and provide services to people like Ian who don't want to be seen as ageing but know in the future they will need some support? Will they be looking at the traditional aged care providers, or will they be looking to the new go-go providers, as Eileen would say? We've seen in the aged care sector that organisations are expanding their service offerings already. But how do we get from where we are today to where the future might take us? As it should, it starts with your customers and their journey through your organisation. How well do you understand your current customers and their touch points with your organisation? To help you get ready for this future, we are now going to look under the hood into the engine room of customer journey, business models and processes. We're going to look at the adequacy of how they are defined and how they can interact with an emerging technology environment. Having your people, process and systems running like a well-oiled, person-centered machine is the first steps in ensuring your organisation is set up and ready to be responsive to the changes and the future ahead. Whether that be the future that Ian is experiencing or another future we do not yet imagine. Let's take a look at the customer journey. Here is a customer journey model. Providers who participate in each customer's living and wellbeing experience are alert and well attuned to the journey and experience each customer has as they engage with their organisation. Providers participate, they don't control. The living and wellbeing experience is customer-centric and decentralised. The relationships are not transactional or service delivery focused. They are broader, all-encompassing relationships, opening, extending and growing their community. Providers understand every touch point, whether it be human or system, to ensure the customer experience is second to none. Organisational capabilities comprised of people, process and systems to manage the customer and manage the business are best of breed. Engagement platforms do provide engaging experiences across any device, from inquiry through to exit, through customer, family and community self-service portals. Customer relationship management processes and systems are standardised and optimised, covering all service offerings, integrating inquiry through onboarding, providing digitised, secure contract management, a single view of customer data at the ready. Service delivery is underpinned by process and systems integrated with external stakeholders, ensuring customer, personal, financial and clinical data is secure, shareable and current. The customer has total ownership and control. Managing the business. The core financials and back office are fully automated, an assembly line in terms of repeatability, accuracy and control. It needs to be. There is no living and wellbeing differentiation here. Data is accessible from every stage of the customer journey and touch point with the organisation. It is analysed in real time, reported through dynamic dashboards and portals, transforming relationships from reactive and late to anticipating and responsive. Foundational to everything is a technology platform that is integrated, secure, scalable, always on. There are never any surprises. The maturity of these capabilities as to whether they are functional or exist is different for each provider. Where does your organisation sit for each component of the customer journey? Would it be functional in all areas, Or would you see suboptimal, remediate now, or no solution potentially? Behind every fantastic living and wellbeing experience is a responsive, motivated workforce who similarly want a fantastic journey and experience as they engage with their organisation. Providers ready for the living and wellbeing experience understand the employee journey through their organisation from recruitment through to exit. Providers similarly understand the touch points of their employees, human or digital, and look to optimise this as much as possible. Employees are engaged digitally through the engagement platforms, self-service and employee portal or intranet. The process and systems for the recruitment, marketing and management is seamless and provides an introduction to the organisation that demonstrates the engaging experience they will have throughout their employment. The systems designed to support the employee in delivering service are easy to use, mobile and tailored to each individual role. The payroll system and award interpretation is accurate and efficient, ensuring employees are paid accurately and on time. Providers use real-time reporting and data analysis and dashboards to respond and anticipate changes to the business needs. A near miss, changing processes to ensure an incident does not occur. The balance in the people, process and systems is ingrained in the fabric of the organisation's culture. A great employee journey and experience is fundamental to attracting and retaining great staff. These capabilities for enabling great customer and employee experiences are not new. Developing and striking the optimal balance in underlying people, process and systems is the challenge. The challenge need not be an ominous journey. With tried and tested methods, you can get there, one bite at a time. Providers need to be conscious of the importance of well-defined process and systems that support customers. Providers need to be aware that things will evolve, and it's part of your responsibility to manage this evolution of process and systems. So what can you do? We would recommend that you complete an assessment of your current position where you can start identifying opportunities to improve current shortfalls, but better position your organisation to be able to operate more seamlessly. I would be interested in hearing from you and your thoughts on where you think the future of aged care is heading. Is it a living and wellbeing future for all people, or are there other possibilities? As a senior at 33 years of living and wellbeing, I think the future will be full of things we haven't even dreamt of. But one thing is for certain, the future will look very different than it does from today, and I really hope I can be more like Eileen and live a fulfilling life, dancing and creating until I'm at least 105.5. Please get in touch via email or LinkedIn. I would love to hear your insights.